Are you struggling with stubborn fat, energy, or low energy, or are you sluggish in your metabolism? It might not just be willpower that's keeping you from the gym or getting out of your home. It could be AMPK. What? What is that? Well, when we have the body whisperer in the classroom, we're going to come up with something really good and new. And so, Dr. Jen, okay, let me just do Dr. Jennifer Gramith. She's a naturopathic and she also is a certified lymphedema therapist that helps us understand how everything is connected to, first of all, the lymphatic system, and where she's taught us day in and day out, but the role different things play in our life that keep us from the health that we want. For example, if you're having a hard time releasing stubborn fat or stubborn weight, then perhaps it could be this AMPK. And Dr. Jennifer Gramith is here to teach us what we can do to reach a new pathway to health. So get your pencils and paper because we're going to learn and grow together. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you. Hi, my name is Lily McDermott, and I am a certified life coach, a certified holistic cancer coach, and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show. If this is the first time you're tuning into the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace inner truth and live the life of your dreams. Well, I am just as excited about learning about AMPK as all of you are, I know for sure. So make sure you take as many notes or more notes, and we will share notes after class today. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Dr. Jennifer Gramith is here to do that. Welcome, Dr. Jen, to the classroom.
Thank you. It's glad to be back.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be talking about lymphatic and how to release this weight that's kind of accumulating, lymphatic lifestyle. And all of a sudden, you threw a curveball at me and you said, no, we're going to be talking about AMPK. I'm researching it, so I'm ready for you. But I am excited to learn. We're excited to learn from you. So let's go for it. Let's talk about AMPK and what it is.
Exactly. Well, it stands for adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase, which is a mouthful. So
Easy for you to
therefore,
say. Easy for
yes,
you to say.
yeah, we call it AMPK. It's just an enzyme that we create when we're young, or, I see more and more people not creating enough AMPK when they're young. That's why you see a lot of childhood obesity. But back in our day, when you were young, you could eat whatever you want and you didn't gain weight. It wasn't until you got older, because it is an enzyme that declines with age. But one of the reasons we age is because it's declining. This particular enzyme is declining. We age faster. It puts us at risk for all types of metabolic disease. And in PubMed, there's over 18,000, almost 19,000 peer-reviewed articles about this enzyme and its effectiveness with weight loss, but also in reduction of obesity, not obesity, but diabetes, cardiovascular disease. And now they're seeing links to it with cancer. So it's a very important enzyme, like I said, that is broken in a lot of people this day and age. And so these are the people that no matter what they do, they can't lose weight. and they struggle and they have chronic fatigue and they start losing muscle mass and they have brain fog and they just feel miserable. And I've seen these patients come into my office and say, Doc, I don't know what to do. I'm doing intermittent fasting. I'm trying to, limit my consumption of carbohydrates and sugars, and I can't lose a pound. Actually, I gain and they get so frustrated. So this is what prompted me to get into research of what is going on in the body. And as you know, I've been researching peptides and its role in this. And what we're going to talk about today is very similar to peptide therapy. But this is an oral, easy thing that anybody can do to improve overall health and eliminate weight, as my dear friend, Dr. Michelle Dawson would say, we don't lose weight, we eliminate it. Because if we lose it, we're going to go looking for it again.
I say release it. I release
You
it.
release it.
We release it.
Release it.
Yeah.
I like
Because
it.
we always find what we lost. And so we do not want to put that weight loss into that category. So with that in mind, I want you to repeat the AMPK.
What it is.
Yes, just the name of it.
Yeah. So it's
Slowly.
adenosine
Adenosine.
monophosphate activated protein kinase.
Okay.
It's an enzyme.
It's an enzyme, and this
Yes.
enzyme is in our body. I just want to recap because you said a mouthful. It's in our body, and it's produced when we're children, so that we can eat whatever we want. But we're seeing more and more obese children. Is this an enzyme that is being like missed, or now we're doing without it, or what's going on with children that we're seeing a
Right.
lot of obesity now?
Because they're coming from metabolically broken parents. And so some of the top researchers call AMPK the guardian of metabolism.
Mm.
And so 90% of our population is metabolically broken today. This is why. So if you have a mother who's metabolically broken having a child, that child is going to be compromised. So it doesn't mean that you can't turn back on this AMPK enzyme. You just have to know how to do this. And so we're going to talk about that because this is critical, like I said, not just for weight elimination, but for prevention of cardiovascular disease, for cancer, and diabetes. And we're seeing a lot more diabetes, insulin resistance in younger and younger people.
What about dementia? Have they studied
So
the
there are,
connection?
yeah, most definitely connection because it all has to do with inflammation. So this is an enzyme that's produced in our gut, that should be produced in our gut. And when it shuts down, which is in so many people, you start to gain weight around your middle. Typically, you get fat around the organs, and it just creates a lot of low energy reserve. So it actually affects you at a mitochondrial level. And so you'll have a way more oxidative stress in the body, which means that your tissues, organs, glands, cells start to break down. You've heard me talk about getting in a state of autophagy when we, did the fasting.
Yes.
Well, fasting is one way that you can reactivate this enzyme. And so that's what you need. You need to be in a state of autophagy because when this is low, it's declining, you're actually going to have more damage to your organs, glands, and cells, and you need to get rid of that debris. So if you boost up the AMPK, it'll start to clean house. And so not only will it repair, but it'll get rid of all of the debris from the dead, dying cells and tissue.
Interesting. Okay, so let me go back because this is my first time talking about this or learning about this, and I just have a bajillion questions. So I hope you don't mind I ask
No
that
worries.
I ask. Okay, so which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Which comes first,
Mm.
a poor diet or the loss of AMPK? Which comes first? Is
That's a
one
great
is it food that causes it to decline? What causes it to decline?
So probably initially, Lillian, and this is just an educated guess, what came first was diet, environmental toxins, lifestyle. And so, but now so we're so metabolically broken that now children are being born with this compromised,
Got it.
state. So they haven't had exposure yet, like their parents have to all the environmental. However, you've seen the studies where in the umbilical cord, there's over 400 known carcinogens and endocrine disruptors. So they have had exposure, but it's probably just layer after layer, decade after decade. This is accumulated in the human body and it's causing breakdown. That's why we're in the state of metabolic disease that we are today. And AMPK is really your energy switch. It's your fat switch. So, you want to burn fat as fuel. Most of us are stuck in sugar and carb burning, and then we don't burn fat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it accumulates on us. When you have insulin resistance and low AMPK, it's like a double whammy. You got two brakes on your metabolism switch. And so you shut that down and, it decreases your lifespan significantly.
So if somebody is morbidly obese,
Mm.
and let's say they got there because they were craving and eating and maybe even stuffing their emotions by eating foods and things like that, would that create, let's say they have the AMPK enzyme, could you
Well,
override the enzyme even if you have it by eating too much or the wrong
yeah.
things?
That's what causes AMPK decline is eating
Okay,
too many foods, refined fruit foods,
got it.
sedentary lifestyle. So a person in that state is going to have very low levels of AMPK. It's not working for them. And
Okay.
it's because of those lifestyle choices.
Mhm.
But once you're metabolically broken, what do you do? So these are the people who really, really struggle with trying to lose weight. So the damage is done. How do I repair that? And so that's really what we're going to talk about, how
Mhm.
you can repair that. There's several different ways. One of my dear friends, Dr. Kyle Smith, he is the doctor that developed Focus Factor years ago when my son was young and had ADHD. And I just thought this was the miracle supplement. But later in life, I met him at an ACIM conference, and he was speaking because he is very well versed in nutrition and supplementation. He has created lots of different things. He created the item we're going to talk about today for his wife who struggles with AMPK.
Mhm.
And he's very fit and healthy and just looks a picture of health, works out. She does too, but she could not lose weight no matter what. And it was driving her crazy. And then, of course, it was affecting him because he wanted to be able to help his wife.
Mhm.
So he has done multiple studies and written many articles that have been peer reviewed and published about this product that he developed to stimulate AMPK. And we have a cool measurement tool that you can actually see where you are, how much sugar or carb are you burning versus fat burning. And so there are ways to measure it, other than just symptoms. So
Okay.
I like those measurement tools. So I'll show you what that looks
Yes,
like too.
yeah. So let's dive deeper because you talked about doing a fast will help with increasing the AMPK. Is there anything else that can help it naturally? Or is
Mhm. So there's certain nutrients. Green tea has been proven to help. Quercetin. There's a lot. So he actually took, I think there's 9 different essential nutrients that all are used to turn on this AMPK enzyme and put you from a sugar carb into a fat burning phase. This morning, I used this little device. It's called a breath analyzer. It's the Lumen. You can go on lumen.com, order one of these things that tells you, if you are in sugar carb burn or if you're in fat burning. And so I did mine at 10:59 a.m. and I was in 75% fat burning, which is a great number, 25% carb
Nice,
burning.
nice.
Yeah.
Go girl, go girl.
And so, yeah, so it's a really helpful tool. Now, when I first started measuring this, I was stuck in sugar and carb burn every day. It didn't matter, what I did. And even after exercise, it would still be. So I wasn't even burning fat with exercise, which was very frustrating. And so I would take this product of his, and within minutes, I would get shift from the sugar carb into the fat burning. And so that's the whole premises of peptide therapy, which you've heard, about, is getting you to go in to increase the AMPK and then burn fat. So it kind of works at different levels on the same thing. And decreases your inflammation markers, gets rid of insulin resistance. So it's a win-win for everybody. And again, it's very anti-aging, which I am all for.
Oh, so this lumen that you're talking about today, you blow into it, it gives you a measurement of whether you're in your carb mode or if you're in your fat burning mode. And then you take a pill, you take the supplement, right? It's a supplement. Is this the same supplement that
Yeah, it's not
okay.
a pill. It is
Oh,
a
it's not.
liquid because so many things are destroyed in the gut. So it is a liposomal supplement, which means its carrier is fat. And it says right on there, it's an AMPK phytonutrient formula. But it's so much more than just weight loss, which weight loss is very important, or weight elimination is very important. But like I said, his research has shown how it shuts down cancer cells, how it, cleans the body. The reason activating AMPK is so important is that it flips that switch and tells your body, okay, now you can heal. I can repair myself and I can restore energy to the mitochondria. And so before that, when your metabolic switch is shut off, no matter what you do, it can't be turned on if you don't know exactly how to turn it on. And so, a lot of people get really frustrated because they do change their diet. They do all the things that they think was causing the issue. And that's good. You do have to do those things, but it may not be enough to flip that switch back on. And you need something like this in order to do that. So it's these amazing AMPK phytonutrients that turn that switch back on.
Now, is this when you're taking this supplement, does this change your metabolism? Does it make it faster? Is that what it's doing? It's speeding up your metabolism. And let me ask you a question about that. And I was under the impression by Dr. Joel Furman that the faster your metabolism is, the faster aging occurs. But I'm hearing you say that this slows down aging. So, how does it
Well,
work differently? How does it work differently?
so metabolism is a name for a lot of different scenarios
Okay,
in the
okay.
body. So it depends on what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
what we're talking about, how it boosts metabolism, is it switches from you just burning the carbs and sugars in the food that you just ate into burning that plus the fat. So all of the reserves that were put into your fat cells, because you produce too much insulin. You overate, you produce too much insulin, and then there was no place for it to go but the fat cells.
Hmm.
And so you're cleaning that out. And this is what leads to type 2 diabetes. This is what leads to cardiovascular disease, a state of chronic inflammation in the body. So what we're talking about is just converting from the sugar and carb and flipping that switch
But
on. So you have both switches flipped on now, and you're burning that fat for fuel
I'm
and
glad I
getting rid
asked. I'm
of
glad I
that. Yeah.
asked. Yeah, I'm glad I asked because, it's like I'm trying to, this is a new something new for me. I mean, I've heard of the Lyonese or whatever the last the K, the
Oh,
kinase,
yeah. Kinase. Yeah.
kionase. I've
Kinase.
heard of the kinase. I've the AMP
Any
part of it.
ACE is an enzyme. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything that ends with ACE is an enzyme.
Okay. Good to know. You see, look how much we learned in the classroom.
Nattokinase,
Yeah, I've heard
serapeptase.
of
Yeah.
nattokinase and yes, nanokinase or whatever, and
Yeah.
especially for people who have COVID, and that's a very good enzyme to have. I didn't realize it was an enzyme. I thought it
Yeah,
was
it chews up inflammation. I mean, it's lumbrokinase. We use that to chew up inflammation. So these enzymes are critical for our body. And there's certain like spike proteins that we have exposure to that actually damage, just like low AMPK K will cause more free radical damage to happen to the body. And so spike protein, same thing. They're causing damage to your organs, glands, and cells. And so these enzymes are needed to shut that off. And so there's different enzymes used for on different pathways to get rid of chronic inflammation. And AMPK is one that actually gets rid of neuroinflammation. That's why it's been very helpful with dementia and Alzheimer patients. It helps with, like I said, brain fog, cognitive decline, all of that. So, yeah,
wow.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of benefit to knowing, if you have this issue and if you have stubborn weight, brain fog, fatigue, insulin resistance, you have this issue. Yeah, check, check, check. And so it's something, even if you only have a few pounds to lose, it's still something you want to take seriously because it can lead to, chronic illness.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so I want to go back now. We've done a class on continuous glucose monitoring.
Hmm?
And I remember looking at every time I ate certain foods, my glucose level would go up. And if I would go for a walk, then the glucose level would go down. So
Mhm.
with that in mind, with the blowing of the fat versus carb or sugar, and then taking this, how often do you take the trim?
Once a day, typically, most people do not need more than once a day.
And that's
And
a
so
natural, is it natural enzyme? How do they
so
fabricate it?
it's those ingredients that we talked about that actually turn on AMPK. So
Okay.
it is things like quercetin,
Oh, wow. Okay, so he did take all that.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
what you
So
said.
quercetin has the capacity to boost AMPK and enhance the aerobic performance and increase metabolism by decreasing the acid
Mhm.
in the body that's stored in the fat. Curcumin, which is, one of the best anti-inflammatories. It's the same thing. It activates a different AMPK pathway and boosts your metabolism. Berberine performance and increase metabolism by decreasing the acid
Mhm.
in the body that's stored in the fat. Curcumin, which is, one of the best anti-inflammatories. It's the same thing. It activates a different AMPK pathway and boosts your metabolism. Berberine, insulin resistance, we've all talked about that and how it
Wow.
activates autophagy. So this is almost like puts you into what happens to your body when you go into a fasting, a extended fasting state. Okay,
Interesting.
so it does put you in a state of autophagy. Resveratrol, which you've heard about, has a lot of anti-aging benefits. It's the master metabolic regulator. green tea extract. There's so many benefits to that, and L-theanine. These are just some of the things that are in this product,
Nice.
all designed to make sure to address AMPK.
Now, do you have this in your
Yep.
shop section? Okay,
Yep.
so remember, I'm asking that because I want you to remember to put Lily 20 so you can get 20% off of this. Now, with the Lumen thing, they get that through your website too?
No, but you could go on to, the web and just type in lumen.com and find it. I think right now they have a special. I gave like 350 for it. It lasts forever. It comes with the app. And I think it's like $179. So it's not a tool that's necessary for everybody to have, but if you're like inquiring minds like me, you want to know how quickly it's working. And so I had several patients who invested in it, and we pretty much got the same results. One pack put you in it within, minutes of taking it. So I tried just berberine alone, and I couldn't get it to do that. I've tried some of these products, some of these ingredients separate and in some other formulations. And I think because they come in a pill form and not liposomal, that it just wouldn't shift me, my AMPK levels. And so it kept me in a sugar and carb burn, and that's why I couldn't lose weight. And so once I got shifted out of that, I was able to lose 20 pounds. And so I've had insulin resistant issues. So I know from experience how frustrating it can be when you try to eat everything right, organic, and, no carbs, no sugars, you're very restrictive. You're working out at the gym. It's frustrating. So I totally, totally get it. And that's probably what prompted me to really dive down deep and research this thing. And then Dr. Kyle had told me about his experience with his wife, and the results that she got. He's constantly was sending me other testimonies of patients with all kinds of chronic illnesses and the results that they were getting. So it was pretty amazing. I had to take a deeper look, but you know me, Lily, I don't recommend anything that I don't try myself. It's got to work for me, and then it's got to work for some other people before I start using it,
When did
or
you start?
recommending it.
Yeah, when did you start doing this? Because I
I've
saw
been
you.
researching it for about a year. I research things pretty thoroughly before I release it. That's why you haven't heard about this particular
You've been
product.
holding out on me.
I have used it on some Lyme patients as well. That really helped cut down the inflammation in the brain, because it passes the blood-brain barrier, or appears to pass the blood-brain barrier, and they're hooked to it because it just makes them feel better. It takes away their pain and inflammation and helps with their cognition, the brain fog that they typically deal with on a daily basis. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, okay, so when somebody is taking this, they're doing the breathing with the lumen and they're taking the trim and they're going about their day. It doesn't end there. Do they have to do anything about their diet? Do they have to be mindful about what they eat, how when they sleep? I mean, what else are you
I mean,
doing?
those are, yeah, so that's a good point. It's not a magic pill. Those are things that you should be doing anyway. And when you're not sleeping well and you're stressed out, because cortisol spikes will decline your AMPK levels as well. Not getting enough sleep, that will decline. Eating too many high sugar, high carb foods, eating too much. A lot of Americans tend to eat way too much. And so, so this actually helps to shut down the cravings for, sugars, very similar to the peptides do. Probably not as strong. If you overdose with peptides, it can make you just really not want anything to eat. We don't want to do that. But this does get rid of your cravings for sugar, for carbs, things like that. So it works really, really well. It helps to optimize your brain function. And it could be partly because it's liposomal, so it has all the anti-inflammatories in it, but it's also got fat. Well, what does your brain thrive off of. It's fat. And so it's a carrier plus it's a food for your brain as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that the worst thing that came out of the nutrition, one of the worst things was making fat the villain,
Right.
and that
Right.
we do need
Low fat
fat.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, low fat everything, and what we don't know is that, they say that Atkin died of a heart attack, or they said he bumped his head while he was falling from a heart attack. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know
No,
what happened.
that's definitely. I mean, I can see why Atkins diet would cause cardiac arrest.
Mhm.
It's the wrong types of fats, though. He was really promoting more bacon and, the things that, people are probably eating too much of
Mhm.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so lots heavy, but there are good fats. Avocado is a great fat.
Hmm.
Coconut oil is a great fat. And, one size don't does not fit all as far as diet style, what's right for you. That's why the glucose monitoring really does help you to identify what works best for you. Because you need to know what you're putting in your body if it's creating a state of inflammation. And so you can actually use that. I did the lumen with a CGM. I was measuring at every level and then comprehensive labs when I was doing the research for that year. And then just, keeping a survey. How do I feel today? It affected my mood. It actually helped to balance my hormones. So it helps with your thyroid function. It helps with lowering cortisol levels, stress levels. Patients tend to say their mood stabilizes. I mean, all these things happen when the AMPK is elevated. So that's a great side benefit.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a quick little like when you told me we were going to be talking about it, I like did a quick little search, and one of the things that I thought was interesting, that it activates the lymphatic system,
Yeah,
this whole thing, and you're an expert in that.
why
So,
I love it.
yes. So how long have you been taking this when did you start taking it yourself? Because I know you've been doing the continuous glucose monitoring
Yeah,
for a while. But
yeah.
have you been doing the lumen all along, or
No, I started with a CGM monitoring first. And I was looking for ways I tried different things, like I said, as far as my blood glucose and my spikes, it was really a lot of stress, was the cause of these high spikes with me. I did find out that I could not tolerate beans and legumes, and it would spike it to diabetic levels, and then it would not come back down for 3 or 4 hours. So, um, that was a big problem. And that was one reason I felt so, fatigued, and I had joint pain and inflammation, and I just didn't feel right. My hormones were all messed up. And so initially I started with dietary changes and switching things up. That did help some when I stopped eating beans. And so, um, that was a big problem. And that was one reason I felt so, fatigued, and I had joint pain and inflammation, and I just didn't feel right. My hormones were all messed up. And so initially I started with dietary changes and switching things up. That did help some when I stopped eating beans and legumes, add a little protein back into my diet. And then, but it wasn't enough. So then I started with trying different things, cinnamon, berberine, just in and by itself. Um, didn't really see much impact with those few items. Of course, they were oral and they were capsule form, and I, had some leaky gut issues. I looked at probiotic. I looked at, trying those certain probiotics like Akkermansia
Mhm.
did help some. And then I started, trying other things. And I did try the Avere trim. And when I started the Avere trim, I got the lumen and I tested it with blood sugar regulation. And then your carbon dioxide is what you're measuring with the lumen. And so I was just shocked at how dramatically it was balancing that out. And that's what I hear from the other patients who have been using it as well.
So what about you? What's been your experience? Have you released weight? Have you,
I've
do you feel,
eliminated, yep, 20 pounds now.
wow.
Yeah, and I like to eliminate 10, 10 to 15 more. And I just, as far as my hormones have never been as balanced um, as they are right now, which is amazing. And just mental clarity. I was getting to the point where I would lose words. I knew it. I knew what I was wanting to say, but I just couldn't figure out how to say it, and it would just happen periodically. And of course, with me, my mind goes to Alzheimer's dementia because my mother passed away from that. So, that's always an issue. And I didn't want to think like that. I wanted to be very sharp and able to retain. So I did notice even probably 5 years ago, a little bit of cognitive decline in myself. And I didn't know if it was candida related, but so I would check those levels and, us, we try everything. And sometimes you have blind spots when you try to doctor yourself. So I pulled in some other colleagues of mine to help me. And, this is what I found out for me. But one thing I've learned over the years, Lily, is that you were all created uniquely, and we should not try to, treat people exactly the same, even if they have the exact same diagnosis. A diagnosis is just a list of symptoms, but the root cause of those could be, totally different. So, what caused my insulin resistance, I believe, was mostly cortisol spikes, stress. What causes, another patient would be, that they ate a pack of donuts every day. It could be totally different. So if I just treated, they had no stress because they were eating donuts every day. If I treated them, with an anti-stress, product like Lyzine Forte or Neurocalm, it would not work. And, if I just didn't eat any donuts, which I don't eat donuts, that wouldn't work for me because that wasn't my problem. So we have to keep an open mind. We have to really look for root causes. And that's why I love the type of testing that we do here at Rightway, because we can find out what the root cause is for you. And we do that by biofeedback testing, blood labs, stool testing, anything like that. And that will give us those answers that we need to help you to reach optimal health,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah. And one size does not fit all. And that's why our partnership is so welcome because many people think, okay, well, this is the diagnosis. This is exactly what everybody is doing. And we hear and obey. And that's not necessarily the right thing for us. And I hear it in you. And I love the fact that you're your own guinea pig. I'm my own guinea pig too. I like to try things out before I bring them into the classroom. And how wonderful it is that we're all here learning together. So I'm going to shift gears. And so I want to encourage all of you. I mean, you've been listening to Dr. Jen speak about this, and it's very interesting to me. This is the first time I'm learning this along with you, with Dr. Jennifer Gramith. And so I want to encourage all of you to listen to this podcast over and over and over again because you might find yourself woven into either the breadths or the details of what Dr. Jen is talking about. We could all relate to something. Take what resonates with you and start incorporating it into your daily life. I know that we talked about, obesity, more, all these things, but the bottom line is, what are you doing to take care of yourself? So this is where you come day after day, week after week, year after 10, 15 years, where we come together to learn new truths. So if this is something new for you too, I encourage you to check in on this. Go to whenyounneedafriend.com. When you go to whenyounneedafriend.com, you can click on to the blog where Dr. Jennifer's name is, and it'll take you right to her website, right to her Shop Right Way Health. And it's all the information is below this class, the description. You can just click on anything that we're talking about today. So today we're talking about, the trim, and even though maybe I can find a link to take you there, but if you just go to the shoprightwayhealth.com, which the link is below, then it'll take you there. You can do your own journey, your own research on what it is that you would like to do. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com, not only subscribe, like and follow me on all social media. Check out my sponsors like Dr. Jennifer Gramith, who is helping the classroom grow. Support her the way that she is supporting the classroom. Go to Rightway Health and Wellness. Call her team at 404-474-2100. She is a telemedicine call away. She is a short drive to Georgia away. And you can start learning how to put the pieces of the puzzle together, because you may not have the picture, but together the two of you and her team can figure out what that picture should look like, or what it does look like, or so that we can start learning and growing and building. So another way that you can support the classroom is that you can go to the Shop Now bag and go to the Shop Now. I wish I had that trim in my Shop Now bag, but I don't have the trim. You've got to go to Rightway Health and Wellness, Shop Rightway Health, if you want to get that. And while you're there, support her in whatever way that you can. This is free information to you. So support Dr. Jen, make her time in the classroom worthwhile. And also other sponsors that we have in the classroom, make sure you support them like they're supporting the classroom. You can go to the Shop Now bag. All those products are Lily approved from head to toe, whether it's your makeup all the way down to pain management, all natural. It doesn't cause any issues in the body. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing in a few days is that we are going to do the neurofeedback training. So it's rewiring the brain with neurofeedback training 2.0 with Dr. John Silva. So I want to invite you all. So if you're having this foggy brain and all this stuff that we do, and you're trying Dr. Jen's trim, and you're doing all the stuff that you can, it might be that the brain needs to be rewired. And it is amazing how, and I've watched the video that I did where I share what my brain looked like, my first QEEG, the second one, and the third one for all of you to see. So I'm very proud of this work that I'm doing with the neurofeedback. I did it for a whole year. Now I'm just keeping current once in a while, but it is amazing for all of us. And especially when I have time recollecting words, this will put it into it, as well as what Dr. Jen is talking about too. And then last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month, a one-time donation of your time, your talent, your treasure, sharing this video with your friends, your family. You probably know someone right now that fits the description that Dr. Jen has been talking about. So I want to encourage you to share it with them, lovingly share and say, hey, could this be something we need to look into? And lovingly, because there's no harm in looking into it, researching it like Dr. Jen has done. So I want to thank you, Dr. Jen, for doing everything that you do to help us be as healthy as we can be. And I want to encourage all of you, and if you buy anything from Dr. Jen, put Lily20 so that you can start your journey of saving money and getting healthy. Win-win, win-win. So Dr. Jen, anything else that you're doing in your at Rightway Health and Wellness that you
Right.
want to?
So for this week, if any of your viewers want to do some testing, like a biofeedback testing with us, or they just want to consult with me, there's a $50 gift for them to go towards that. If they will just
Oh,
call the office, say that they saw this show, then they'll get $50 towards their consultation or their testing.
wonderful, wonderful. So $50 off whatever it is that you choose with a consultation, a testing. That's amazing. You're very generous, Dr. Jen. You
You're very
really do, and
welcome.
I really do appreciate that about you. So here we are. I mean, this is the first time that we ever talk about this. I know that peptides are the rage. So let's
Mhm.
talk about how is this supplement trim or the AMPK, how this is similar or dissimilar from peptides? What are the warnings, contraindications, anything that you can share about the AMPK?
So yeah, there's actually, like I said, it is like a natural way to do the same thing that peptides do. And so this ideally would be a place where a person would start. And then if they needed an extra little boost with a peptide, then that may be added on. They work really well together. But the peptides, specifically the semaglutides, have been just overused. Most practitioners are doing macro dosing, and that's where the side effects come in, Lily. It's not when they're micro dosing. Microdosing semaglutides actually help reduce your appetite. They get rid of insulin resistance. They reduce your, inflammation, uh, numbers or your cardiac numbers, lower your blood sugar. So imagine if you were to take too much of that, it can just bottom out your blood sugar. It can stop you from having an appetite completely, which we don't want to do. And so you really want, if you're going to consider peptide therapy, make sure you work with a functional practitioner like myself or someone else who is micro dosing. Do your research on it. GLP-1 is naturally something that is created in the gut. And it works, like I said, very similar because AMPK in a beer trim actually helps to reduce your appetite. It gets rid of the insulin resistance. It lowers your glucose levels. It, actually helps to rebuild the mitochondria of your cells. So it has some extra things that the AMPK enzyme does that the GLP-1 does not do. But sometimes when you combine these two things together, it is quite magical what can happen in the body. And so, it's not, like I said, it's not going to be a first line of defense, should not be, but, it's been used. Peptides have been used in the functional medicine arena for anti-aging for decades and have been used very safely. Why all of a sudden, big pharma picked up and is doing, macrodosing, I don't know. Maybe because there is such an, issue with type 2 diabetes and they're just, seeing that it does, help with that. It definitely would, but it could be too much for the majority of
And the side
people.
effects and the side
They're
effects,
horrendous.
they already say it. It's connected to cancer. And here are
Mhm.
these people wanting to be healthy, and they're taking all these drugs that are they're releasing 100 pounds like overnight almost. And
Right.
or actually the most I've heard is 35, so I'm exaggerating it a bit. I don't know, maybe there's more, but the most I've heard is 35. And then the muscle is being torn away,
Atrophy.
as it's
Yeah.
atrophied. That's right. And all these things are happening. So when you're taking something like this, it's like micro, not macro. It's very small dose. It's almost like a
It's like,
homeopathic dose.
right. And it's like what your body naturally does when you're younger, so you're getting back to that point. You're not overdosing. Um, so the AMPK supplement actually, works by appetite control, like I said, that indirectly, works for that. It burns the fat. So it actually, melts the fat away. It blocks fat storage. So it will stop the insulin from going into the fat and help the body just to get rid of the excess insulin. And then by doing that, it improves your insulin resistance. So that's how the AMPK, works. The glutides really just work by calorie restriction because you aren't hungry, you don't eat as much, and then slowing the emptying of your intestines, so it slows down, so you feel full quicker. But if you did too much of that, you will just get sick. So a lot of the symptoms with overdose would be nausea and vomiting, which that's not a great diet plan.
No, no.
And so you don't want that. But some people, especially me growing up, my mother would start cleaning up the kitchen as soon as she put the food on the table.
You mentioned
So we were trained to eat really fast so we could finish our food before she washed our plate and put it back in the cabinet. And so that's a problem that a lot of people have. They're not chewing their food, they're not taking their time, they're in a rush, they're eating in their car. These are all bad habits and you need to break them. So by no means use this as a crutch, and don't make those corrections. But when you need that extra help in getting stabilized, getting back to the way you were when you were younger, where you had enough enzyme, your GLP-1 was activated, that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing with these types of things. So you definitely, want to be monitored. This is not something that you want to do by yourself. You want to, be educated about it. This is a learning opportunity for you to understand what's going on in your body and how you're reacting to your environment. It's very specific to your needs, and that's what I love about it.
This is pretty interesting. I want to dive in a little bit more.
You're my guinea pig too.
I want to dive in a little bit more because, what 55-year-old woman, 50-year-old woman hasn't said to me, all of a sudden I woke up and I lost my waist, I lost my hips, I lost my, and so how does someone test for this? Is there a test that can measure the AMPK?
AMPK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, indirectly, it's the insulin resistant testing. That's a way that you're going to know if you have low AMPK. If you're like with the lumen testing, with the CO2 testing, that tells you if you're low in AMPK. So there are tests, just a fasting insulin. Now, they're going to say that the range is way higher than what it
Yes.
should be. And so you need to be working with a functional doctor that actually tells you what's optimal. And so we want to keep that number down 2 or 3, not 12. And so definitely, and doctors are not pulling fasting insulin. They're just doing a fasting glucose. Well, what do they tell you when you go in fasting? They tell you not to eat anything past your 6 o'clock meal. So you're fasting for like 12, 14 hours. Well, duh, you go in fasting that long, it's going to be usually under 100. And they're like, oh, great news, you're fine. But they don't see throughout the day those outrageously high spikes and drops in how your metabolism is handling the food that you're eating, the stress that you're under. And that's where the CGM is critical. Everybody should test themselves with a in my opinion, with a CGM monitor for at least 2 weeks. It's not that expensive. You can get them for about $100. And know what is going on and then correct it. And then you can redo it to make sure that the corrections you made are working. Or you can do like me and just wear it continuously and try out all kinds of different diet styles. So we can do it. I am developing another app just for CGM monitoring that really gives you a score. It tells you exactly
Nice.
what your metabolism is doing with whatever you are loading in. So like you would log in a picture of the plate of the food you just ate, and then it measures your spikes and how you responded and gives you a score based upon that. And so, yeah, there's so many cool tools out there that we can use. We don't have to live in darkness anymore. The light is there. You can actually know what is going on. You can prevent disease from happening in your body. You can live your best life ever. And that's what we're here to offer you.
I love it. I love it. I mean, because this is something that it's like, oh, you reached 50. Oh, you reached 60.
54, yeah.
Yeah, the gut,
I just had a
you know,
birthday.
I know. You're still such a baby. You're such a little baby. Yeah. But, so if somebody were to just tune in right now and they are feeling like, okay, this is just aging. I'm just going to gain weight. I'm just not going to feel strong. I'm going to feel weak. I don't want to work out anymore. What is your words of comfort and what's your word of advice?
Yeah, so
Not
those
that
are
you're being their doctor, but what?
not that I mean, so those are just lies from Satan himself because you age. Yes, we age, but you don't have to age so drastically. Your AMPK levels decline as you age because of the fact that your environment has weakened your metabolic state. And so you can fix that. There's things that you can do. And so you've seen people that you just like you, Lillian. I mean, you look like you're in your 40s.
Oh,
You know?
stop. Oh,
You do,
stop.
or 30. You could even push a
I don't.
30. So
I
there's
don't.
a difference in, a healthy lifestyle versus someone who lives off of fast food and has a very stressful life. And I know you and I both talk about the stress that, we've been under. And so we have to look for things that help combat that, if we want to live long and have our best life ever. So don't give up. That's what we're here for. You can contact my office, schedule a consult with me. It could be a 15-minute, 30-minute consult, and I'll help you figure out exactly what you need to do in order to reach optimal health, whatever that is, looks like for you. Now, optimal health for me is, having no pain and energy and, being able to chase my grandkids around and having normal or optimal blood labs, not even normal. I want optimal. It may just be getting rid of this pain that you have. It may be, your hair stop falling out. So it's all up to you. We will help you however you desire.
Well, I am so grateful for you and thank you so much for bringing this information. I mean, I am just like ready to do more research even. This is us dipping the toe on this right now. So I want to encourage all of you to dip your toe as well. Call Dr. Jen's office. The information is right behind me. It's also in the description. And let's remember that she has the app for the gut repair. So please look into that as well. So I'm going to get the link for that and put it in the description as well. And so, Dr. Jen, I just absolutely love learning with you. So thank you.
Thank you. It's always a joy to be here.
And please remember, all of you are in choice. Let's choose the right things for us. And please remember, this is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Jennifer Gramith wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.